Hello, I'm Marcy Green, and I did the growth of Al Qaeda in the Middle East and in North Africa. I chose this topic because my uncle was involved in the Desert Storm slash Desert Shield slash the Gulf War. They're all the same thing. Operation when they were sent over to Kuwait because the Islamists and Al Qaeda was attacking Kuwait, and President Bush ordered that the soldiers be sent there. And so I didn't know very much about it, and I thought it would be kind of interesting to learn a little bit more about Al Qaeda and really see what's going on, especially with all the recent events that have been happening. The past involving the Soviet Union and the Taliban and the Holy Wars, and I'll explain what the AQIM is in a later slide. Who is Al Qaeda? More like what? The leaders are Osama bin Laden, which is on the left, and Mohammed Atef, which is on the right of the picture. Mohammed Atef was killed in Kuwait and left Al Qaeda to Osama bin Laden, who was killed in May by the SEAL 6 team after he was captured. Al Qaeda was created to directly oppose any non-Islamic government like the United States government or anything that is opposing Islam, and no exceptions whatsoever. They don't have any exceptions for peace or cooperation or anything like that. They're strictly for violence, and they will not take no for an answer. Their main goal, like the main purpose of creation, was really to drive the United States out of Saudi Arabia and Somalia strictly by violence, and it obviously worked. They provide military training for villages in Africa, like Somalia, Nigeria, and Kenya. Now, there is talk that the Somalian pirates that captured Captain Phillips was affiliated with Al Qaeda, but we aren't 100% sure on that. It's just word on the street. They have tried to create nuclear weapons and chemical weapons, just like the atomic bombs that we dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima in World War II. The Soviet war in Afghanistan was kind of the main, this is what started Al Qaeda, because obviously this was before, because Al Qaeda was created in 1989, and from 73 to 79, the U.S. and the Islamists were working together because they both opposed the Soviet Union in Afghanistan. And in 1979, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, and the war lasted about 8 to 10 years. And in 1987, bin Laden's group of 50 Arabs attacked 200 Soviets. That resulted in the Arab retreat. Well, there was an order by a Mujahideen leader who was like a freedom fighter, and bin Laden was ordered to attack again. This time they were victorious, and the Soviets withdrew. The significance of this war was the propaganda that was in the war resulted in favor of the Arabs, and America was able to withdraw from Afghanistan. But when America withdrew from Afghanistan, it left the leadership open to anyone, including Al Qaeda, which resulted in civil war and chaos, and it's still kind of in a lot of trouble right now. Al Qaeda's connection to the Taliban. They're not the same thing, but the Taliban is a branch of Al Qaeda, and it is influenced by Al Qaeda. The Taliban sheltered Al Qaeda in the years before and immediately after the 9/11 bombings on the World Trade Center. And the picture on the left is the picture of the 5 prisoners that was traded for the soldier that deserted. And then on the right is just a picture of Taliban holding someone prisoner, and they have to read a speech on camera, and the camera would be sent over to, or the video would be sent over to the place where they were taken from. The Taliban has been tightly woven in the past, but now that the Taliban rises and Al Qaeda seems to be in decline, meaning you've seen the Taliban a lot more on the news, and they've done a lot more dastardly deeds than Al Qaeda seems to be doing right now. Like currently, Al Qaeda's done a lot of damage in the past, but in the current news, the Taliban is receiving a lot more of the attention. When the trade was made, there was only 4 Taliban members, and one was Al Qaeda, and the one that was Al Qaeda vowed to return from after his retainment in Qatar, and he would kill the Americans. The Jihad, or the Holy War, which I'm wondering if this is the war that the Bible mentioned will last forever because it's a war of religion. Osama bin Laden declared the Jihad in August 1996 against the U.S. because we are infidel, meaning we're not Islamic, and we do support other infidel governments. The Al-Qaeda opposed the U.S. involvement of the Gulf War and Desert Shield and Desert Storm, which is all the same thing, and the Operation Restore Hope in Somalia in 1991, 92, and 93. Mostly in 1992, though. They opposed the U.S. government, obviously, because we arrest the brothers of Al-Qaeda. Like, we keep them prisoner just like we do every other terrorist. I mean, it's not like we're paying favorites or anything. Osama bin Laden issues fatwas, which is like Islamic law for the people that follow the rules in the Muslim country against the United States. And in February 1998, Osama bin Laden allowed Muslims to kill Americans anywhere they may be found. And in June of 1999, it was more of an order for the Muslims to kill all American males. The Al-Qaeda in Islamic Maghreb, which is what the AQIM stands for. It's the official branch of Al-Qaeda in North Africa, which is what Maghreb is. It's the section that's in North Africa, which is on the left picture. The blue part is the Maghreb. It began in Mali, which is the picture of the right. AQIM tried to rule most of the territory and rule under the Sharia, which is Islamic law. There's a lot of different words for the same thing. Mali has been influenced to not advocate. They don't advocate nonviolent political change, meaning everything has to be violent, just like Al-Qaeda, just like the Taliban. And the AQIM possesses 2/3 of Mali, and they're under a lot of elections and political despair right now because the people are voting more towards the Islamic law instead of what the country was originally based on. And the AQIM was the organization that oversaw the finances for the bombing of the World Trade Center in 2001. So that's their tie to Al-Qaeda, obviously, because they are a branch and they all work together and they're all terrorists and they're all bad people. The present regarding the war on terror, the Taliban prisoners that were released, and the Nigerian schoolgirls that were kidnapped. The war on terror. The events of 9/11 created more concern for terrorism after it hit home so severely. Like the bombing on Oklahoma City was alarming, but the World Trade Center was such a big deal. We lost over 3,000 people that they really decided to make this a big something that we need to be watching out for. The war on terror is more about terrorism, but it's focused on Al-Qaeda and its allies, including the Taliban and the Boko Haram, which is another branch in Africa. Some feel, in the United States, some feel like they will have to give up rights for more security, and in a way I kind of believe it and I understand why they think this. The Secretary General of Amnesty International, Irene Khan, said, "Human rights matter because they offer a powerful and compelling vision of a better and fairer world, a concrete plan of how to get there. These global values of justice are the most effective route to security and peace." Now, is this a war on terror or a war on freedom? Have we brought the terrorism home and let it affect us in such a way that the economy and the way we work, the way we can live in freedom would be erased? Now, regarding the 5 Taliban terrorists traded for a traitor. Talk about a tongue twister. Soldier Bo Bergdahl was captured after he deserted his regime with the United States Army and was held prisoner. Obama agreed to release 5 Taliban and 1 strong member of Al-Qaeda men in exchange for this traitor, so he could be called. Obama overstepped Congress, and they didn't know of the agreement, and he had made an executive order, meaning he stepped over all the rules, but his argument was, this is someone's child. The Al-Qaeda man said that he would return to Afghanistan after his year in Qatar and kill the Americans. Well, obviously that's what terrorists do. So the biggest question is, was it worth it? Was it really worth trading 5 terrorist men that will just return and cause more trouble in the United States for 1 soldier who deserted the army? Bring back our girls. This is kind of cool, like the way that they've rallied together. I didn't know as much about this. The Boko Haram is part of Al-Qaeda. It's another branch in Africa, and what they do is they took the 300 Nigerian girls in May of 2014, and they are possibly negotiating prisoner exchanges to get the girls back, but that's just word on the street. That's from the news because it's current. What they're doing is they're basically brainwashing the girls and teaching them Islam and trying to erase any kind of other information that they have that does not have to do with Islam. It's turned into an international affair because the United States, the United Kingdom, and other United Nations are conducting surveillance and other ways of contact. There has been talk of rescue, but because of the place that they're at, there's no shelter for any kind of air raid or drones or anything like that. So if they were to try to rescue them, then they would see it coming, and the Taliban or the Boko Haram or the Al-Qaeda, it's all the same thing. they would shoot them down, and it would be pointless. Like, they could kill the girls when they saw them coming, and the girls would never return. Other Al-Qaeda events. The Boston bombing was also inspired by the Al-Qaeda. They weren't directly tied with Al-Qaeda, but it was inspired with the same principles of, like, they're not Islam. The Boston bombing was in the same way inspired, because they were two Russians that agreed with the principles, and they set the Boston bombings into place, the Boston Marathon bombing. The largest terrorist attack in the United Kingdom was when they bombed 4 metros in a bus, killing only 69 people, but that was the largest terrorist attack they've ever had in 2005. And the kidnapping and purchasing children out of Africa to train and teach Islamic law. This is happening a lot in Mali, which is that country that I was telling you about earlier, and their children are being sold to the Al-Qaeda in hopes of protection for the country. And they are teaching them Islamic law and how to fight, and so they have soldiers, and so there's really no give or take there. The future, like what could happen. Consequences and resolutions. As for the trade for the traitor, now that the Taliban knows that all they have to do is capture 1 soldier and get 5 in return, the United States is really going to have to work hard on establishing a new standard. Like, what I was thinking is, like, we would have to resist trade, but that also means that we wouldn't get one of our soldiers back, and that could make a lot of people unhappy. But Obama's done that already, so I mean, you can't go any further than this. So now that they know what they can do, they've really got us under the thumb now. With the Bring Back Our Girls, the United States is assisting, and so we could have Boko Haram retaliation, because they're obviously not happy that the United States is one of the biggest military leaders in the world, and we could take them down if we really wanted to, but we're playing our cards right. And so, like, that one's just up in the air right now. Nobody really knows what's going to happen, and we can only hope that we get the girls back. As for the war on terror, once we were in, we were in. Like, there's no backing out of it now. I think this is just another word for the 1,000-year war, or whatever is described as in the Bible. And the termination of nuclear warfare is what I thought the solution could be. Just like the Japanese were totally stopped in their tracks and World War II ended, is nuclear warfare the way to end the Al-Qaeda and all of its allies? Or is it too big? You know, like, if we were to bomb over there, do they really have the nuclear warfare with the abilities to bomb the United States? Like, if they heard that we were going to return nuclear warfare, are they going to fire back on us and create complete turmoil in the United States? It's all kind of up in the air right now. Nobody, like, it, obviously it's in the military hands, and we can only hope for the safety of the United States. This is my works cited, and you could really take the time and go through all that if you really want to. I don't advise it because it was a lot of reading. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed kind of what I've learned, and I hope I was able to share a little bit of information that was helpful.